Lately, I've been thinking a lot about who I'm becoming, and how far I've come without actually really realizing it. And I wanted to record today's episode, because lately I've just been in a season of reflection. And I don't know, I feel like maybe some people out there kind of might relate to the things that I'm going through. So, if you guys don't know me, my name is Imani, and welcome to the Conceited Podcast. So, I feel like nobody really prepares you for where you have to like let go of versions of yourself that you used to be and that you're super comfortable with. I think that a lot of people don't realize how uncomfortable change actually is and how it's so unnatural for you to feel comfortable in that. You're not supposed to, for one. When you're changing and evolving into this new person, like you're not gonna be anything that you've ever known. You're stepping into a completely new realm of yourself and a new mindset of trying to figure out like what your direction is going to be, and that's difficult. Like, I'm only 26, so I can only imagine the things that I'm going to continue to keep going through as I get older, and it's scary. I mean, I feel like people try to downplay it like it's supposed to be something that, you were taught when you were like 20, 21, coming out of college, if you went, or whatever you went to go do in life, that you're supposed to have everything figured out and that everything's just supposed to make sense from 21 to 25. And then it's like 25 to 30. Then you like flourish in life. You figure out what you want to do, who you are, who you want to be, you know, and I just don't think that's reality. I just don't think that's the world that we live in. And honestly, I don't think it's ever been that way. I think I try to compare it to like the way that my parents are and their generation, but the world is just so different. Like it's not the same. It's almost like trying to even compare the two doesn't make any sense because we just live in a completely new age. I mean, obviously, it's great to go out and get advice and, talk to people around that generation who can give you insight and understand like what it's like to be growing and changing and going through your 20s. But overall, when it comes to actually understanding what it's like to live as a 20 something year old now, and then asking your parents or peers or mentors, whatever you want to call it, around you for advice on that, they're never going to give you what you're actually seeking. It's always going to be this, oh, like when I was 25, when I was 23, like this is how I did things. When realistically, we're just not like that anymore. The world's just not like that anymore. And the things that my generation, I feel like, goes through is very different from the way that the older generation goes through or that they went through in the past. Um and I feel like these conversations only relate to people who are around my age and understand what it's like to experience this weird period of the in between. Like, not necessarily feeling like your old self, but not understanding what it means to be your new self is such a weird it's a weird feeling. It's such a crazy thing to explain to people because it's like, hey, like I'm not what I was before, but I also don't know what I am now. And I'm not saying that I don't like where I'm headed. It's just very uncomforting because I'm not used to it because it's a brand new version of something that I've never experienced before. And honestly, I think that's also something that a lot of people don't like is change. Like, it's uncomfortable and it scares people, but it also excites people at the same time. Like, I think this space of the in between is something that is so terrifying, but also so exciting at the same time that, like, you get so overwhelmed and caught up in your own thoughts and emotions because you don't know how to handle it because you were never taught how to. And I feel like when you're on an individual, self growth, self learning, or even just, trying to figure out who you are, that journey is only up to you. So it's like you can get advice from peers and friends and family, but when it comes to your specific strengths and weaknesses and trying to maneuver what it's like to be you, like you can only answer those questions. Nobody else can answer that for you. And I think that takes a lot of deep introspecting to do. I think I've always been a huge advocate of, and everybody's entitled to their opinion. This is just mine. So, like I said, like take it the way that you want to take it, but I personally think that when you're in your 20s, you need time alone. And that doesn't mean that you have to completely put yourself in a isolation box and take yourself away from everything and, just completely go ghost on the world. I just mean that you need time to sit with your own thoughts and your own feelings and to just give yourself that grace period of trying to figure out, like, who are you? What is it that I'm actually trying to accomplish for myself? What are my goals? What are my dreams? Like, who do I want to have around me? What kind of, you know, person do I want to be in the world? And I'm not saying you can't do that with other people around. You very much can. But I just feel like because the in between space is so sacred, it's really hard to involve others who don't fully understand what that means. Especially if you guys aren't on the same journey or same path. It can be really hard to connect with somebody that doesn't really get what you're going through. And it doesn't always have to be like, I don't say that from a negative standpoint. I think being in an in between phase is so amazing. Like it's a good thing. It means that, you're shedding this old belief that you had at one point and you're growing into a new version of yourself. And I feel like that's very important to do, especially when you are trying to be a different person or you're trying to grow. And sometimes sitting with yourself and being with your own thoughts and just kind of understanding where you're at in life is the most important thing you can do for yourself. I honestly think it's the biggest form of self love. And I just don't think enough people do that. I feel like everyone's so caught up in the whole I'm supposed to be here, like I'm not here yet, and I don't know where I'm going to be in the next 5 years, or, I want to have a family, I want to have my career. Like everyone in the world is trying to figure it out. But taking time to figure it out alone is such a huge step in your own journey. It kind of reminds me of the little I shouldn't say meme, but it's like a little it'll be like a little photo or a video of like just a crowd of people. And then it'll have a text above every individual person and it'll basically be like this person just, got married. This person just went through a divorce. This person just lost their job. This person's homeless. Like, and it goes to show you how everyone around you is going through so many different chapters of life. There's no telling if the person beside you on a train or in, traffic is going through the same thing. They're most likely not going through the same thing for one. So that's not to say that, people around you don't go through the same events as you. Like people can go through the same things, but there's so many people in this world who are going through so many different situations and circumstances, and they're all learning about themselves because their journeys are simply that, their own journeys. You know, you can I'm not saying you can't get quality advice from people or, talk to people who might necessarily just be going through the same things as you because it does happen. I have situations where, me and my best friend will be going through the same thing at the same time, so it's comforting and easy to have conversations with them back and forth about, what they're experiencing and then what I'm experiencing. But it doesn't mean that I'm going to handle it the same way that they would because at the end of the day, we both have our own mindsets, we both have our own ways of being, and as an individual, I feel like I'm going to do what I think is best for me, the same way I would want my friend to do the same thing that's best for them. And I think that's why the importance of being alone sometimes and sitting with yourself and being, in your own thoughts is so important, because without you knowing who you are, how do you know where you're supposed to be? How do you know where you want to get to? How do you know what you truly want? I just don't think you figure those things out all the time with other people. And, you know, some people find that comfortability with having others around and always feeling the need to be surrounded by community. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I had a conversation with somebody the other day where she had said, at the end of the day, when you go home and you go to sleep, like, it's just you and your own thoughts, whether you are in a relationship or married or you have kids or whatever it is that you're doing, you know, when you go to sleep and you lay down and you put your head on your pillow, it's just you. Like, every unwinding moment from the day, every conversation, every, you know, thing that you saw, you think about. But you're the only one thinking about it. And you're the one that has to deal with what goes on in your own your own brain, your own mind. And it's the principle of, at the end of the day, everyone's fighting their own battles, but the truth is that you're the only one that can fight them for you. No one can fix that. And I think that when you're growing in life and becoming a new person and a new version of yourself, having those conversations with yourself is just so important. And I think that people forget that. Like, I think that some people are so afraid to be uncomfortable that they'd rather settle. And I just think that's so lame. Like, that's so boring. Like, how do you not want the next best thing for yourself? Like, how do you not want more out of your own journey? Like, I'm not saying that, you don't do the work for yourself. I'm sure you do. Or, you know, you not necessarily think that you can be doing better, but maybe you feel like you're not doing enough work on yourself. But like, every day you wake up and every day you go conquer whatever it is that you need to go do, you're necessarily like you're working on yourself. But the problem is, are you working on yourself to get to that next level? Are you working on yourself to get to that next chapter? Or are you just settling for where you are because you're comfortable? Because there's a big difference between putting in the work to stay where you are and then putting in the work to get to the next point. And I feel like I've witnessed people around me in the past who are just comfortable where they're at. But it made me realize that I'm not like that. I can't be that way. I can't sit somewhere for so long and just be okay with it. And it's not because I think I'm better than anyone. It's not that at all. It's just more of, I know that there are other places that I want to be, and I know the steps and necessary means that it will take for me to get there. So, in order for me to do that, I can't follow the people that are comfortable with settling, because it's not going to help me. Like, it doesn't motivate me to keep wanting more. And in those scenarios, I had to pull myself out and I had to find that moment of self reflection, and I had to learn how to be alone. And it's scary. It's absolutely terrifying to be with your own thoughts because you never actually process them until you're alone. And majority of the time you're running from them. You don't want to deal with the problems and issues that you think your brain is creating. You don't want to deal with the anxiety, the overthinking. Like, nobody wants to deal with that. The stress, like, it's a mind game. Like, you don't want to be with yourself because you're so afraid that once you figure it out, You have no idea what you're going to be like. And that scares people so bad. But that's why I feel like embracing uncomfortability is the key to success, or the key to learning yourself and getting to that next chapter in your life. Because if you can fight your own battles and beat your own mind game, you can do anything. You have the key to knowing who you are by just being with yourself and having those uncomfortable conversations with yourself. How do you know what to ask for from the world or from other people if you don't even know who you are? And I'm not saying you're ever going to fully understand what it means to be you. You're turning into a different person every single day. And even if you don't physically see it, your brain's changing without actually trying to do it. So every single day you wake up and you do what you're doing, you're always a new version of yourself. And others may notice it, others may not, and that's okay. But at the end of the day, doing the work and giving yourself credit and actually going within and answering the questions that you need to answer, because at the end of the day, no one can answer them for you. You know what's best for you. You know how to get to that next point. What is truly stopping you other than yourself? Like, you're not exactly going to know where you want to be yet, but you know you are not who you used to be either. So that space can just feel, confusing and exciting and lonely, but also it's beautiful at the same time. I feel like the evolution of self is just mind-bounding, because you never actually realize how far you can go until you just channel within and really just focus on what it means to be you. It's funny enough, I I have a lot of conversations with a lot of different people, and it's not necessarily like the insight of others, but I think as someone who finds this period of life really confusing but also very exciting at the same time, I think I almost don't give myself enough credit to actually how far I've come. And I don't do it on purpose. It's more of because I'm always striving for more. Like, I never find myself comfortable with whatever it is that I have. And it's not that I'm not grateful for it. I'm eternally grateful for everything that I've accomplished, everything that I have in life. It's more of I always want more. Like, I'm never settled with what I have because I'm always looking for the next thing. So, for example, I moved to Arizona for a year. Scariest thing I've ever done. Very much done on a whim. Um, maybe not the best decision I've ever done, neither, but I did it on my own. I had no help. All the work, all the money, all the time that I spent getting to that point, it was all me. Like, the drive, the motivation, the hard work and time and sweat and tears that I put into getting to a different place and just packing everything up and moving across the country, like, I did that. I drove by myself across the country. And that's insane to think about now, being where I'm at. But there was a time and a point, and honestly, even sometimes now it still happens, but there was a time and a point where I was like, it's not that big of a deal. And that's so crazy because when I say that, the looks and the comments that I get about that, they're like, Monty, are you insane? Like I love you, but are you stupid? Like, that is such a big accomplishment. And I'd be like, it's really not that deep. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, I just moved. I didn't do anything special. And everybody's like, you're insane. Like, you're literally insane. But Someone had brought it up to me yesterday because they had, mentioned it to me, and they were like, "How are you not like, you should be so proud of yourself. Like, you had the confidence to pick up your entire life and just go, and you just went with it. And even though it didn't work out the way that you wanted it to, you still did it, and you accomplished it, and you knew that it was something that you could achieve, and you achieved it. So, if you did that, think about all the other things that you could still do." And deep down, internally, I knew that. Like, I was like, "Wow, I really did this thing, and I, like, really put in the work and the effort to get there, and I achieved it." And it's mind-blowing to me that, like, to me, that's the smallest thing that I've done. And I'm like, to everybody else, it looks like this big, giant, like, achievement. And I'm like, "Yeah." Now it's laughable to think like that's how my brain works. Like, because I look at it as like, that's only one thing I've done out of the 100 things I want to do. So to me, it's such a cool, like, it's cool to be able to say, but a part of me is like, that's not enough. Like, yeah, I did that. That's cool. Whatever. Okay, what's the next thing? But that's me as a person, you know? And those comparisons of working hard and getting to that next point to other people, it's such a big thing. And I never really understood why I downplayed my success or, achieving certain goals. And it wasn't because I wasn't proud of myself. It was just because I was like, okay, cool. That's great and all, but I want more. Like, y'all think that's so fantastic and so cool. And like, oh my God, she did this. And I'm like, I want more. That wasn't enough for me. Like, yeah, I did that. Cool. Where are we going now? Where does Imani want to be next? And that's where I'm at now, where I'm like, okay, I've achieved blah blah blah. I know what I'm capable of doing. Where do we go from here? And how do we get there? But I never had those thoughts until I sat with myself and I learned to be alone. I learned to be with me, myself, my thoughts. And I'm not saying that I don't ever include people in those. Of course I do. I love hanging out with my friends. I love, going out. I love spending time with my family. I love surrounding myself with people I love. I love spending time with people that I love. And I always will pour into those other things because I feel like I'm going to pour into what's important to me. But I'm very discerning with my time and my energy because at the end of the day, not everything deserves it, especially when I'm in this season of trying to figure out the in between. I know what I want for my next chapter. Right now, I'm trying to figure out how to get there. And the only way I'm going to do that is by sitting with myself and asking myself the questions of, okay, this is what I've done before. Who do I want to be now? Where do I want to go next? What's it going to take to get there? And what kind of sacrifices am I going to have to make in order for me to get to this next level? And it's a lot. It's a lot. I don't think I've sacrificed enough, but I know I've sacrificed things that I didn't necessarily want to at the time. But now, because I've taken more time to sit with my thoughts and myself, I realize why I needed to sacrifice it. And it's not always a bad thing. There are certain things that you either have to let go of or you have to take yourself out of because it's not holding you back, but it's just not supposed to come with you. Not right now. There's certain things that you can still want in the future, but at this moment of time in the chapter that you're at and in life, you can't have it because you can't have both. You can't get to where you want to be and also have the thing that you have right now without you crumbling and falling because you wanted to do both. Sometimes you have to let things go. You have to let things be where they're at because at the end of the day, you're never going to miss what's meant for you. The things that you're meant for and the things that you are supposed to have in life, like, it's already written. Your chapter, your story, everything that is already meant for you is already there. You just have to do the work to get there. It's not going to be given to you. And it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be weird. It's going to feel not right. You're going to feel lost. You're going to have your days. You're going to have those moments in time where you just feel like the whole world is out to get you and the universe and God and everything is just not on your side. And that's just not true. You just need to sit down and be patient with yourself and genuinely be alone. You need to be with yourself to know who you are. If you never spend time to get to know who you are, you will never figure out what you're supposed to be. And you're not going to get the things that you're supposed to have because you're not doing the work. And it's important. It's important in anyone's journey. It's important in anything that you do to know who you are as a person and to know that the journey to find yourself and create yourself, it's not going to be easy. But if you want to reach those new things in life and those goals and get to that next point, you're going to have to accept that you're going to go through things. And that's okay. Everyone does. It goes back to, like I said, that picture with thousands of people in a crowd and everyone's going through different things. You're not alone. You might feel like you're alone, but I promise you're not. No one in this world has it figured out. Our parents' generation, you know, whoever is above you or older than you, none of them know what they're doing. Nobody on this world knows what they're doing, okay? Everything that we do in life is people figuring it out day by day. Nobody has the right answer to anything. There is no right answer to anything. You're the only person that can genuinely answer the own questions that you have for yourself. No one can do that for you. I don't know what it's like to be in your brain. You don't know what it's like to be in my brain. I can tell you, but you'll never truly understand. The only person that's going to understand you as a person is you. You can't expect other people to understand the way that you are, and you shouldn't, because everyone's different. Everyone has their own mindsets. Everyone has their own thoughts, their own capabilities, their own goals, their own dreams, their own ways of knowing. We are all individuals in this world. And it's weird to think about, and it's weird to go through, and it's not fun neither. I mean, yeah, you have fun along the way, but it's awkward and it doesn't feel right, and it's such a weird feel, like you can't even explain it because it's just a lot and it's overwhelming. But you're going to be so proud of yourself the moment you realize you just gave in and you finally embraced what it means to be uncomfortable and what it means to discover yourself and figure out who you are. And that's the best part. I don't think that you can ever discredit yourself from the experiences that you've had, because if you didn't go through all that stuff that you went through once before, you wouldn't be who you are now. And who you are now is amazing. You might not see that, but there are other people out there that pay attention to you. I myself had to give myself a reality check on that because I didn't realize how much people were actually paying attention to me because I wasn't physically seeing it, or I wasn't like getting, it wasn't being vocalized to me that people were paying attention. But at the end of the day, I don't need reassurance from others at all. But to know that I was being recognized for the things that I thought were so, so small, it makes me feel good. And it makes me realize, like, oh, I'm on the right path. Like, I'm doing the right things. I'm doing the work. I know exactly who I'm becoming because I took a step back to figure out who I was. And I'm still figuring out who I am. Like I said, I'm 26. I'm only 26. I am so young. I have so much life ahead of me. There's so much I want to do. There's so many things I want to go see. There's so many people I still want to go meet. There's so many conversations left to be had. And I have so much time. But I'm not going to waste the time that I have right now settling for things that I know I don't want when I know I'm meant for more. I'm going to do the work. I'm going to take the time to figure out what's going to get me to that next chapter in life, what's going to make me succeed, because no one's going to do the work for me. And success isn't just going to come overnight just because somebody handed me a card and said, "Here you go." I wish it worked that way, but it just doesn't. But I understand that. And I feel like the moment that you understand that being with yourself and sitting with your own thoughts is okay. Look, honestly, like I said, your journey's your journey. Everyone's journey is different. It's not going to be the same. But knowing yourself and loving yourself is always going to be the most powerful thing you can do. And sharing that wisdom and that thought and that love with people that you have around you is only going to make you more energetically aligned to what's truly meant for you. And the more you stay on that path and the more that you keep telling yourself that you are meant for certain things and that you will have certain things if you keep working to get there, you'll never have to worry because it's already there for you. You just have to wait. You just have to have patience. You have to give yourself grace. You have to give yourself credit. And you just have to keep going. You can't give up on yourself. It's hard. It is. But you just have to remember who you are, you know? Everyone has their days. You're going to have those times where you wake up and you don't want to do anything. Or, you know, you feel like you just need to be an emotional wreck or you feel like you need to crash out. And I always tell people, feel everything that you need to feel because there's a reason you're feeling it. You need to let it out. You can't keep holding it in. You have to let yourself experience things even if you don't want to experience it because just because it's uncomfortable doesn't mean it's not necessary because uncomfortability is necessary for growth. That's it. That's it. So yeah, look, if no one's told you, I'm proud of you. And even if it's quiet, slow, confusing, or you ever feel lost and just not like yourself anymore, you're becoming someone that you're going to be so grateful for one day. And that's all that's important. So that's really all I have. Uh, I love y'all. Be safe, and I'll talk to you later.